Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm Joe Panther III, and man, fans, like for weeks, I was been randomly getting like boxes of chocolates, little notes that say "pick me, pick me, pick me," and I was wondering why. And then I said, kept getting these little candies, those little Valentine's candies that normally people don't eat. I'm a slob, so I like eating any kind of candy. And I got a message on Facebook, and I said, "Can I come on your podcast, or I'll stop sending you all those candies?" And I'm like, "Fine," but it's fine because I'm a slob and I eat everything under the moon. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to Miss Valentine. Welcome.
Thank you for finally having me. I was about to be bankrupt for all the shipping and the chocolates. I'm so sorry that it scared you a little bit.
Yeah, I got nervous. I was like, I had to look at my calendar, and I was like, Mama Panther, but my dad, there was a guy just like a Cupid at the door singing "Pick Me," singing an old 1960s song. My dad's a DJ, so he was like, and the guy thought he said Joe, so he's like, yeah, and he was singing to him, and then I was like, Dad.
Oh, good. He was very expensive. He was the most expensive part.
He was
I hope he did well.
Scary. He even had like a Swiss accent. I don't know. I gave him a hug, but he was really sweaty.
That's the last time I'm hiring anybody off Craigslist. Okay.
Oh man, he had a wandering eye too.
He had a wandering eye.
And his hands wandered. I got nervous.
Oh goodness. Well, he said he was in the area where you're located, so I never met the guy. I apologize.
Cletus' son, man. I don't know. He kind of like his hands wander when he hugs. So, Josie. Wow. Okay. Back to business. If my internationally known fans are not familiar with you, and why would they won't be, introduce it yourself.
Well, I am America's sweetheart, Josie Valentine. I'm from the Midwest, and I am in love with professional wrestling so much that I do it about weekly. So I'm very excited to branch my name out there, hopefully get more followers on social media and see where it takes me.
Awesome. So when you were young, Valentine, who are some of the wrestlers that like really got you into like being in love with this business?
Oh goodness. First and foremost, I didn't get the name Valentine just because I love the holiday. I easily fall in love. So John Cena, top dog John Cena in his early 20s, when I was young and I saw him, I was like, I think I love the sport even more. So growing up watching him, I studied his physics. I studied basically what he's all about, hustle, loyalty, respect, sportsmanship. And I knew for a fact that when I get into the company, I would totally love to have his charisma in the ring. So he's one of the top dogs that got me even more into professional wrestling and driving hard. I also want to say Randy Orton, just because of his backstory, kind of like the hard, unfortunately, drugs and alcohol, that really inspired me. Like, oh, this gentleman has went through hell and back, and just to see how successful he is now, like it just really blows my mind that like you can start from the bottom, you can start anywhere and then work your way up.
Yeah. So let's push it a little further in. When you finally decided to become a indie wrestler, professional wrestler, who trained you?
Oh goodness. It's kind of embarrassing.
If you don't want to say embarrassing, you have to say it.
I am from Iowa, so I grew up in a small town. Not a lot of people liked wrestling where I'm from. So when I found out Seth Rollins was also from Iowa and 2 hours away with wrestling school, I was like, I have to go. I have to soak up all this knowledge from this man and become, that small town girl with a big dream and making it big. So it was down between Black and Brave Wrestling Academy or the Harley Race Wrestling Academy in Missouri. Same distance, 2 hours away from home. So I was like, you know what, let's just stick with Iowa, stick with the Iowa insurance, not have to dive into more paperwork. When I first got there, I didn't realize that you are supposed to have already wrestling training under your belt. So unfortunately, I dropped out the first week of class 13. Not too proud of it. I spent some time self-reflecting for the next 2 years. But in 2020, I did some more looking around. I was like, I'm not giving up on my dream just yet, just because I went to a wrestling school that I didn't know you're already supposed to have knowledge about and practice under your belt. So I went to freelance in Chicago for next 2 years in 2022, up until 2022. And then some of the coaches went their different ways. I no longer was with freelance, so I decided to go with Jesus Bryce and train with him for about 1.5 years. And then, unfortunately, my father passed away, so I stepped back from wrestling training, still doing shows on the weekends. And then now, just recently, I'm actually training with the Ice Pick, Vic Capri, so in Chicago. So I'm very excited to see what this all has to offer underneath his wing.
So when you're training with the Ice Pick, like, what kind of advice does he give you with like your character put together, your promo, stuff like that?
So I've only been there for almost about 2 weeks. I've had about maybe 6 classes under my belt. So basically we just really go in, and he's more so like, he doesn't really have like a list like, oh, hey, we're going to be doing this today. He's more so open up about, what do you want to work on? What do you think you need to start strengthening yourself up in the ring about? So I really like that with him. I do need to work on my promos with him, but mostly it's being big, being loud. He's like, hey, make sure, we have people in the front row who spent good amount of money to see us, but make sure the people in the back are able to see your facial reactions and the big moves and the fire ups of the comeback. And I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. Like, it's just not the front row. You have the second row, you have the third, you have the 10th, the 15th row. So he does pick, when you go to his class, he knows what to work on with you, if that makes sense. Like, oh, hey, your footing could be this way, or it's a little off, or hey, just bring it down, slow it down in the ring. So mostly it's just about whatever you really want to work on. If you think you're running the ropes is sloppy, okay, let's start up on that. Your chops are sloppy, your forearms. Anything that you feel self-conscious about, he will be like, okay, nope, we're not going to feel like that. We're going to lift you up. We're going to get you into this ring, and then we're going to work on it and make you stronger and confident.
Awesome. So where did you come up with this love, like Josie Valentine character? Like, where did it all start?
So I was never Josie Valentine, if you can believe that. My first gimmick was Roxy Ricard. It's silly because some people didn't know how to pronounce the last name, and my brother came up with that last name, and he's like, well, it's unique, nobody really uses it or ever heard of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm gonna be this muscle mommy in leather. I'm gonna get into bigger shape. And then all of a sudden, a very talented Aussie comes into the WWE named Rhea Ripley, and
Mm-hmm.
has the same gimmick that I was wanting to go for. I'm like, okay,
She
let's.
could have it. And I don't want to die.
Yeah, she can have it. I don't want to die. I don't want to get slammed. So I just kind of threw that away. Started from scratch. I'm like, I knew a girl growing up. Her name was Josie. She was one of even though I was obsessed with wrestling, I never shut the hell up about wrestling. She always sat down and was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, later." And I was like, "Well, I really liked her name, just Josie. It just rolls off the tongue." And then Valentine, believe it or not, off out of kayfabe, Valentine's Day is my least favorite day, least favorite holiday.
Wow.
So I was just rolling off. At first, it was the months. I was like, oh, Josie May, Josie April. No, that doesn't really sound catchy. Then I started going into holidays. I was like, oh, what about Josie Christmas? I'm like, well, no. Okay,
There
Josie.
was a Christmas wrestler for a while and she disappeared.
Oh, I did not know that.
I don't know if she blocked us or she just disappeared off the wrestling map. She just retired, but
Huh.
she was dressed all in Christmas stuff. She was a heel too.
I love her. And then I just started rambling off, holidays. So I was like, oh, Valentine. Oh, Josie Valentine. I was like, that actually sounds pretty good. And then JV for just like, the initials, which is funny because in high school, I always try to drive myself to be the best in sports, softball, basketball, whatever I was in, but I could never get myself into varsity. I was always in junior varsity. So I guess JV is always going to be stuck with me, even in the wrestling industry.
Oh man, bummers.
But that's okay. It's okay. Makes me drive even harder to do my best.
Yeah. So, like when you finally got yourself to be this character, you were that rocker character. Now you're Josie Valentine. What was it like the first time you went through the curtain for your first match?
Absolutely nerve-wracking. I was in, well, oh goodness, this was actually the same month my father passed away, and I was in a battle royal, and I just remembered I was in the female locker room and just sitting there. I was a 25A champion for Now That's Wrestling. And I just remember I had the belt around my waist, about to defend this championship in this battle royal, and just tears going down my face because I miss my dad. I wasn't really too worried about the match. I knew the spots. I knew, okay, this is what's going to happen throughout the match. This is who I need to lock up with and fight for a few. That kind of just went over my head, just crying alone in the locker room. And then I was so physically and mentally drained that I just remember going to the gorilla, and all the guys were there, and they're hyped up and excited, and I'm just like, dang, like this is my first wrestling match, and my dad's not here to see it. As the months went on, and as matches came and went, I got more. I healed over time about my father's death, and then that's when I was like, oh my God, we're like 6 months in and I'm at my first singles match here and I'm about to go and wrestle in front of this crowd. That was the time I realized like, oh gosh, like my gut is clenched. Like I'm going to puke. If I don't go out there now, I'm going to puke right now. So it's just really nerve wrenching just before going out in the curtain, and then everything kind of just like leaves or expands once I see all the crowds and their reaction when my music hits.
Awesome. So since my fans in like the Pennsylvania, the East Coast area, they're not familiar with what Josie could bring to the table. All I can think is that song that Joe. And when I'm definitely going to use this song, the Josie song, when this episode airs. So when so explain to my fans, when you come out to the ring, what are they in for? What are the top 5 things Josie Valentine's brings them to want to watch Josie Valentine?
Top 5 things. Well, entertainment. I try to be silly. I try to get everybody's attention on me when I go into the ring. Interaction is a big major part of it, especially with the kids. I love seeing their faces light up when I come just running around slapping their hands. I also want to say your money's worth. You're going to get your money's worth, especially when I'm going up against a male wrestler, and just seeing everybody's reaction, like of me picking them up and giving them a body slam or something, like not expecting that. So seeing the crowd be like, "Oh my God, like she just picked up that 200-pound man. Like that's insane. I was not expecting that." Yeah. Goodness. What else did I expect? Just having a good time overall. Like, I want it to be where like, oh my gosh, this weekend is rough. Or sorry, not this weekend. This week has been a rough week. Now I'm going to this indie wrestling event Saturday night. My worries are washed away. Oh my God, this Josie Valentine is here. I'm super pumped. I'm super excited. Just getting the fans to forget about the crap week that they had from work, from school, and getting their mind into wrestling is a major factor. Is just like making your worries just melt away. Another, I'd say the last thing would be, I already said interaction with the fans. I guess just overall having a good time. Not being a party animal or toot my own horn, but
yeah,
just having a good old time at the bar or hanging out with families at the merch table.
Yeah, there we go. That's the next question. If my fans want to pick up anything of Josie, where can they find it?
Oh goodness. Shirt wise, I'm not online. Like pro wrestling tees, I'm not. I apologize. I've been a little lazy of reaching out and getting my own shop started up and going for shirts and hats. I am thinking about doing an Etsy pretty soon. I have a Cricut. I'm going to be making shirts left and right here, actually starting this weekend. But everything else, like social media wise, it's all on Facebook and Instagram. So no shirts just yet, but it's coming up.
I do love the shirt, the Josie Valentine's shirt. I'd rock that. I'd rock that in PA because a lot of wrestlers I'll go shows and I'll give them a shirt. I'm like, all right, maybe.
I actually have a new design. It's like the Santa Cruz logo, but instead of Santa Cruz skateboard shop, it's Josie Valentine Pro Wrestler. So I'm excited to get those shirts out and about. They will be pink instead of black, so I'm very excited.
It's funny, in the 80s, everybody rocked the pink shirts because of the Heart Foundation. So most of the guys were like, oh, fun, do they have it in black?
Where's the black? Where's the dark colors?
Oh, come on. Like, it's summertime. You got to wear light colors, don't you know?
Yeah, for sure.
When I went to the Carolinas, I had to, we packed, and I packed every one of my light colored shirts. I was kind of mad because I like wearing black. I was like, you're going to the Carolinas, you're going to melt. I'm like, yeah, right. Get there. And I'm like,
why did I not listen?
I'm sweating. Yeah. So, Josie, as you said on your social medias, where can my fans follow you?
Let me pull this up so I don't botch it real quick.
Okay.
Facebook is Josie Valentine Pro Wrestler. You will see me with my signature profile picture. Josie Valentine Pro Wrestler or J Valentine Pro Wrestler on TikTok. Instagram, let's see, is Josie Valentine Official on Instagram. I think those are there's the three major. Oh, and Twitter. see about Twitter. Is J Valentine 73575, which I have to change because that is way too long.
Yeah, I get a little mad when name sounds a little off, and you're like, nah, that's
it bugs me. That's my OCD. I gotta change it. No.
yeah, a little. So, Josie, before we go, if there was any fans that wanted to get into the business like you did, and how much they love wrestling, what kind of advice would you give them?
Go to a school for beginners. Do not waste $3,500 on a school that is specifically for people that have training under their belt. So Flatbacks in Florida. If you've never been to Florida, I've heard it's amazing. It's beautiful. I don't want to say all the time because of the hurricanes, but it is beautiful down there from what I've heard. They have a great school. Harley Race. I've heard it's old school, but they'll get your foot in the door. Just make sure that you're financially prepared, because let me tell you, you are going to, if you don't find the right school right then and there, you are going to be spending thousands of dollars on training alone. And then not even training, but traveling, and just more money into yourself, physique wise, character wise. It's just financially draining. I will tell you that.
Okay. Josie, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I want to wish you nothing but the best on your wrestling journey. I'm Joe Panther III. Your turn.
I'm Josie Valentine.
And we will catch you in the next one.